What if the magical world you only dreamed of is more real than you think? For centuries, whispers have circulated about clandestine academies and hidden orders, places where ancient knowledge is guarded and incredible powers are honed. Prepare to pull back the curtain on the real-world wizarding schools and secret societies that exist right under our noses. Do you believe in magic? Not the kind you see in movies, but a deeper, more ancient power. This exploration dares to confront the undeniable evidence that many cultures across thousands of years developed secret educational systems dedicated to esoteric knowledge. Get ready to have your perceptions challenged as we reveal the hidden histories and enigmatic practices of these covert traditions. Ever wondered if there's more to the world than meets the eye? Some secret dimension of knowledge and power? Imagine institutions dedicated to arcane arts, operating silently in the shadows. Today, we journey into the hidden world of actual wizarding schools and mysterious societies, uncovering their past, their present, and the mysteries they still protect. Modern depictions of magic shape the way we imagine secret schools. From novels filled with spell-casting students to movies with ancient academies nestled in enchanted landscapes, popular culture has painted a vivid picture of what magical learning might look like. But behind the fiction lies a surprising truth. Countless societies, organizations, and academies, stretching from antiquity to modern times, have taught forms of knowledge so rare, so protected, and so complex that outsiders often labeled them magical. These real traditions didn't involve waving wands or conjuring lightning, but they were serious, structured systems of knowledge that explored symbolism, discipline, metaphysics, altered states of consciousness, and the depths of the human mind. These schools didn't call themselves wizard academies, but in many ways, they served the same purpose. The idea that secret societies guard hidden wisdom is not new. Ancient civilizations believed certain knowledge was too powerful for the general public. Priests, scribes, and philosophers trained for decades, often in secret chambers, restricted temples, or secluded retreats. The public saw them as intermediaries between the earthly and the divine, people who possessed rare insight into forces invisible to ordinary eyes. By the Middle Ages and Renaissance, these traditions evolved into more organized esoteric groups that blended scholarship, ritual, philosophy, and mysticism. Their legacy forms the backbone of what we would now call real-world wizarding schools. So yes, the magical worlds depicted in fiction are exaggerated, but their foundations are deeply rooted in real human history. And that brings us to the first group of traditions that set the blueprint for modern secret societies. If we want to understand real-world wizarding schools, we must look at the historical societies that were both educational and initiatory. These groups weren't merely gatherings of mystics. They had structured curricula, degrees of mastery, initiation rites, and symbolic frameworks. The Rosicrucian movement began in the 17th century with mysterious manifestos that circulated across Europe. These documents described a brotherhood of highly educated individuals who practiced alchemy, healing arts, and spiritual study. While it's debated whether the early Rosicrucians were real or symbolic, their influence on later esoteric societies is undeniable. The Rosicrucian texts promoted. Many historians believe these writings inspired scholars, scientists, and mystics alike to form study circles, proto-academies dedicated to uncovering the mysteries of existence. Known today for symbolism and fraternity, early Freemasonry contained a rich esoteric curriculum. Members studied sacred geometry, architecture, allegory, natural philosophy, and moral development. Their degrees functioned much like classes. While most Masonic lodges focused on ethical and symbolic instruction rather than magic, the structure mirrored a school: lessons, examinations, mentorship, and progressive advancement. They also influenced many later esoteric groups. Perhaps the most famous magical society in modern history, the Golden Dawn, was founded in the late 19th century. Unlike earlier groups, it openly taught ceremonial magic, mystical philosophy, alchemy, tarot symbolism, and Kabbalah in a highly structured format. Members progressed through grades, studying. Prominent figures, artists, poets, academics, joined for intellectual and spiritual exploration. The Golden Dawn functioned with the rigor of an academy, and its influence still shapes modern esotericism. Debunking myths, revealing truths. These groups didn't summon spirits or wield supernatural powers like fiction suggests. Their magic was closer to a mix of psychology, philosophy, ritual theater, and symbolic transformation. For them, magic meant influencing the self, interpreting reality through symbolic lenses, and using ritual to focus intention. However, their secrecy, complex teachings, and ritual strictness fed centuries of speculation and myth. Outsiders imagined them as powerful wizards controlling hidden forces. In truth, they were scholars of symbolism, practicing intellectual and spiritual disciplines kept private to preserve tradition and prevent misunderstanding. Still, these groups provided the conceptual blueprint for what many would consider a wizarding school. Structured learning, guarded knowledge, initiation, and a journey of self-transformation. Many people assume that these traditions died out centuries ago. But the truth is far more intriguing. Esoteric schools and societies still exist today, though many have adapted to the modern world. Some operate quietly in major cities. Others have moved online, hidden behind carefully moderated forums or invite-only communities. Let's explore the modern landscape. Organizations like AMORC and other Rosicrucian groups offer structured correspondence courses that teach. Their lessons often resemble university-level humanities, courses blended with guided introspective exercises. Various groups claim lineage from the Golden Dawn and preserve its curriculum. Members typically learn. For many participants, these practices function as a form of psychological and spiritual growth rather than supernatural magic. Some contemporary mystery schools combine Hermetic, Kabbalistic, Egyptian, or Eastern teachings. They often emphasize membership usually requires a long-term commitment. In many cultures, the real wizarding schools aren't institutions but teacher-to-student lineages. These traditions are deeply rooted in culture and spirituality, often requiring years of dedication. Surprisingly, some modern schools exist entirely online. While lacking the gravitas of older orders, they reflect a new era of accessibility. Their curricula vary, but most include: their goal is personal transformation, understanding oneself and the world through symbolic, philosophical, and contemplative practices. One of the most common questions is, how do people enter these schools? The answer depends on the tradition. Finding the path. Most esoteric orders don't advertise broadly. Historically, one joined through. Today, seekers might find them through books, academic courses, or online communities. The vetting process. Traditionally, groups vetted potential members carefully. They sought. This process often included interviews, probationary periods, or observation in group discussions. Initiation. Initiation ceremonies differ between societies, but they share common themes. These rituals are psychological and symbolic. They mark the transition from outsider to student, from curious observer to dedicated practitioner. Throughout history, many individuals devoted their lives to these pursuits. John Dee, advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, studied alchemy, mathematics, and angelic communication. Giordano Bruno traveled Europe teaching Hermetic philosophy and cosmology. Helena Blavatsky explored global esoteric traditions and helped found the Theosophical Society. Though their beliefs varied, they shared a desire to understand the hidden mechanisms of existence. The modern seeker. Today's seeker often blends ancient and modern approaches. For many, the journey is less about magical powers and more about expanded awareness. Why do secret societies captivate us so deeply? Why do ideas of hidden schools, ancient wisdom, and arcane teachings resonate so strongly? Psychological appeal. Humans are wired to seek meaning. Esoteric traditions offer. The idea of secret knowledge suggests that there is always more to learn, that the universe contains mysteries yet to be uncovered. Societal function. Throughout history, esoteric groups served social roles. They functioned as incubators of new ideas. The blurred lines modern wizarding schools aren't about magic in a literal sense. They're about exploring the edges of human experience, consciousness, symbolism, identity, and meaning. The line between personal growth and esoteric practice is thin. For some, the journey is spiritual. For others, it's psychological. For many, it's a blend of both. Your place in the mystery. The search for hidden knowledge is ultimately a search for oneself. Whether you're fascinated by historical secret societies, drawn to modern esoteric communities, or simply curious about the layers beneath reality, you are part of a long human tradition of seekers. The world is bigger, stranger, and more layered than it appears. Secret societies, ancient orders, and symbolic schools all reflect one truth. Humans have always yearned to understand the unseen. And perhaps the real magic lies not in supernatural feats, but in the transformative journey of learning, questioning, and discovering. If this exploration sparks your curiosity, share your thoughts, your experiences, or your theories. Knowledge grows when we explore together. Know more. Be more.